Today's Q&A session is about finding true happiness. And this, believe it or not, is a common question that I've been receiving by a lot of those of you guys out there. And I cannot find it any more appropriate to use the yin and the yang to respond holistically to this question. You know, as a kid growing up, like many of us, my goal in life was mainly to become happy. And how is this goal drawn up for me? It's mainly through observations, my environment, my parents' ideas of success mainly is to become happy. And then I would draw up this big dream of mine is to make myself happy and to make my parents happy and to make that my ultimate goal. And it's silly. It's such a naive process now that I've understood more of the concept of the yin and the yang, the concepts of the universe, really. And this is the funny contradiction or the paradox behind the ideas of happiness, alright? But just to distinctively communicate this to you guys, the questions aren't asking for happiness, it's asking for true happiness. So that tells me that most of us, those that have questioned this ideas of happiness and true happiness and taking the time to make the distinction, is that we feel as though we've been duped, in that sense that societies have been selling us on the ideas of happiness, but really we're looking for true happiness, which is this thing I call, or many of us holistic philosophers in the past have called nirvana, or the state and feeling of emptiness. And I'll explain. From a point of relativity, Einstein once said that the feelings of happiness is just all relative. Things that can make you happy doesn't necessarily make another person happy. Things that'll make you sad is not necessarily true from another perspective in making them sad. So the state of happiness and sadness could be very confusing and elusive from that perspective. So therein lies the paradox that if you're looking for happiness, you'll always be sad. You'll always find sadness. And the fact being is that happiness comes with sadness. And from a holistic perspective, happiness is sadness. And that's why I've said before, and this was a quote from Khalil Gibran, is that your joys or your sorrows unmasked, they are one and the same. So to give you a visual representation of this, happiness could be represented by the side of the earth or the face of the earth where the sun is shining, and on the opposite end where the sun isn't shining is sadness. They are one and the same, but it's just a matter of relative perspective. So the solution is, for true happiness, is that we must start all over again in building our foundation as a being, in connecting with our core root of who we are, going home to who we are. You know, and we do this by obliterating all of the stuff that lies above the surface, the things that we used to turn to for feelings of happiness, what we deem as states of happiness, such as when we're intoxicated with alcohol, give that up. Sex can also be an escape to use in order to attain happiness. Marijuana, some of us rely on that to be in a happier mood. The list is endless when we're chasing for happiness. I want to clarify that there's nothing wrong with what I just mentioned. It's just that we are using these tools as our foundation to attaining happiness. But really, what we need to do is to develop a stronger foundation within. And in order to develop the stronger foundations within, we must weave ourselves through the thick layers of superficial happiness to get ourselves deeper, closer to the root of who we are. And once we are down there, we can then reshape, strengthen the foundation within. And once that foundation is strong, is balanced, then ultimately it is up to us how we want to go on from there in living our lives. See, that state of nirvana, once you've reached, you'll never lose it. You've got a taste of what it's like. So then slowly you go back into the core of who you are to develop more and more of that. And you'll see yourself turning less to those previous escapes, and in spending more time connecting with the universal you, the cosmic you. Once we've done obliterating all of those concepts of happiness, then we can begin building on the foundation that lies beneath the surface, that is closer to home. And in some sense, that is home. When we have obliterated all of these surface materials, these superficial items, we can spend more time in the silence, more time in that empty space that is within all things, this cosmic space. It's very difficult at first, much like anything else is in life, but when we spend more time with this supposed emptiness, you'll eventually reach the feelings of nirvana. It takes a lot of hard work to overcome that which we're so used to, these escapes, these drugs, these habitual feelings of addictions that we go on living day to day, week to week, year to year, feeling so happy, and then subsequently coupled by feeling sad again. You don't want to be like me, or those that are wise enough to have left back manuscripts of them in their later years saying that if they had known that there was a foundation, that there's a home inside that they could connect to, they would have done it a long, long time ago. So I'm telling you this now, that if you're looking for true happiness, rid yourself of all of these escapes, these addictions, these unconscious, habitual lifestyle, to further understand more of what it's like in the silence, in the space of emptiness, more of what it's like to be a cosmic being, a universal being, a timeless being. Okay? Give yourself a month. Build that foundation. Once you have this foundation built, then you could choose any experiences you desire, because then now you'd have the backbone and understanding of true happiness.